I work on the other side of Boston.
Hello, my name's Fran, past master of Setauket Lodge in East Bridgewater. We have as our guest tonight Robert E. Godbout Jr., who was the past Grand Lodge Rep Marshal, past Senior Grand Warden, the current Director of the Grand Lodge, and in September he traveled to Cincinnati to receive the highest degree that Masonry can confer on anyone, the 33rd degree in Masonry. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Fran.
Welcome to our show.
Nice to be here.
Thank you. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Scottish Rite. What can you tell us about Scottish Rite? How did it start, and
Well, Scottish Rite started actually many, many years ago, Fran. It's an extension of our Blue Lodges, and our Blue Lodges refer to as our first, second, third degree. Mm-hmm. After a brother has taken his third degree in our Blue Lodge, he has the opportunity to go on to Scottish Rite. And in this case, where I'm basically involved is Boston, where we would perform the 4th through the 32nd degree. It's a portrayal of different degrees whereby a member can learn and see different rituals performed to bring a meaning to the individual. It's a brotherhood of men whereby they can get together at Scottish Rite meetings and enjoy harmony with each other and enjoy the friendship and the fraternalism of our great fraternity.
Now they're called valleys. How many valleys are there in Massachusetts?
Right now there's 8 valleys in Massachusetts.
8 valleys.
The valleys differ somewhat. Each valley, in the case of Boston, New Bedford, Fall River, and Springfield, have all 4 bodies represented: the Lodge of Perfection, the Princes of Jerusalem, Rose Croix, and Massachusetts Consistory. There are other valleys that have 1 or 2. For an example, last night I was in Lawrence. They had Lodge of Perfection and Princes of Jerusalem. Okay. So all bodies do not have all 4 represented. And in those cases, they would come to either Boston, Fall River, and Springfield for their candidates.
All right. Now you are the Commander-in-Chief of the
Massachusetts Consistory.
Massachusetts Consistory, which confers the last
19th through the 32nd
19th
degree.
through the 32nd degree.
Yes, Fran.
And I've seen the degrees, and it's the equal of any Broadway production. They do a fantastic job at it.
We have professional makeup individuals that come in and make up our cast. It's all done in full costume, depending on the degree that we would be performing that evening. And yes, it is, for a new candidate, they would look at it as a professional Broadway show. Very entertaining, very enjoyable, but yet with a great message that we portray.
Yeah. Now you take lessons out of the Bible and all the Masonic lessons.
Yes, we certainly do. There is a couple that we've done recently that I personally enjoy, one of which we just did this past spring was the 4 Chaplains degree, a very current degree during World War II where the USS Dorchester was torpedoed. And it's represented with a chaplain, a priest, and a rabbi, and how that ship had been torpedoed and went down, and how they took care of their men on the ship to make sure that they were all able to get off. And it's quite a moving degree and very enjoyable for those that that go back to the Second World War and remember those days. So it's a very enjoyable but yet rewarding degree to witness.
And they all teach a very valuable lesson.
They certainly do. In certain different eras of our country, if you will, or the world, they bring a message to our members that they can take home with them and live their daily lives with, yes.
Now you have some degrees that are in colonial times too.
We certainly do. The George Washington degree, which is one of our favorites also, with Benedict Arnold and George Washington, and that's all done in full costume during those years. And again, we bring a message of portrayal of treason and what one would do with treason, but it's a very enjoyable and enlightening degree for the candidates. In fact, we'll be putting that one on in November of this year in Boston.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it with George Washington. Yes.
Now, in order to be a Scottish Rite, you have to be a Blue Lodge member first.
Yes, you do. You have to be a Blue Lodge member, a dues-paying Blue Lodge member that have taken his 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degree, and then the petition, you can take petition out to become a Scottish Rite Mason, or as we sometimes refer, 32nd degree Mason.
Yep. And this is one of the routes that you can take to get to the shrine. There was another route that we won't mention now.
Well, no, we can mention.
Okay.
It's all our fraternity.
Yeah.
It's York Rites.
The York Rite.
And that, I believe, I belong to the York Rites also. It would be chapter, council, and commandery. And in the case in this area, it would, I believe it's in Brockton. And it used to be in Abington, but it's now in Brockton. And so that's the other route to become a Shriner, yes.
Yeah, our program director is currently going through the York Rite, I
Is he
think.
really?
Yeah.
Well, as I've said, I've done both and enjoy them both, and they're different in their own way, but it's a fraternalism of Masons that have gone on beyond our Blue Lodge.
Now, the Blue Lodges, all right, we support charities.
We certainly do.
The Scottish Rite also supports charities.
We certainly do.
What are they?
Well, we have our Scottish Rite Museum in Lexington, Massachusetts, that's open to the public.
There's the Museum of our National Heritage.
That's correct, right in the center of Lexington.
Yeah.
It's a library and museum, and as I said, it's open to all. We support schizophrenia research and have for many, many, many years. Scholarships are available for grandchildren and children of Scottish Rite Masons. And recently, in 1994, we started a Scottish Rite Masonic Learning Center, located our first one here in Massachusetts in Newtonville. We've since added another one in Lowell. And in our jurisdiction of our Northern Masonic jurisdiction, which encompasses the northern 15 states, we presently have 13 learning centers in operation, with 5 ready to be opened, with the anticipation of 55 in the year 2002. Now, these learning centers provide assistance to children with dyslexia and learning disabilities. And at no charge, as the Shrine does with their hospitals, with no charge, we in turn, Scottish Rite, have no charge for the children. Presently, we have 23 students that are working, that are presently at our learning center in Newtonville. And it's amazing the improvement that these children make after just 1 year of working with our tutors and our instructors.
This is one of the nice things about Freemasonry. They see something that needs to be done, and they go ahead and get it done.
We have to thank J. Philip Berquist for this. This was a project that he undertook, as I said, in 1992 and developed it. So in 1994, we opened the first center. And it's really proud to see these children and how they progress and what they do. And it's all a response basically to our Scottish Rite Masons that have contributed not only in money, but in time and service to supporting these children.
It takes an awful lot of time to get some of these things done.
Oh, it's amazing. Just the facility itself. We've just undertook a project whereby we expanded our facility in Newtonville so we could handle 5 more students. The waiting line is unbelievable for children that need help, and in many cases they're not getting it in their local communities.
Now, you're on the board of directors for those learning
I
centers,
am on
aren't
the
you?
board of directors. The 4 heads, if you will, of the bodies here in Boston are all what we call board of governors. There's 15
Okay.
board of governors, and we are on that, and we have a regular monthly meeting to determine our needs and our direction and how we can better improve the facility for our children.
Okay. We have a tape of the Scottish Rite program. The name of the tape is What It Means to be a 32nd Degree Mason. Now, I don't know who took the name first, but we've been doing it for 3 years.
There you go.
But it's a very interesting tape. It was done in the Valley of Cincinnati, I think it was, and it's quite interesting. So if we could roll the tape, and we'll see what some of the degrees look like.
You have recently joined one of the world's most prestigious fraternities, Scottish Rite Freemasonry in the Northern Masonic jurisdiction. The Northern jurisdiction stretches across 15 states, from its headquarters, the Supreme Council in Lexington, Massachusetts, to the wide-open farmlands of the Midwest, from our border with Canada to the southernmost tip of Illinois. Within these bounds, its membership likewise extends across a vast reach. The best way to understand what it means to be a 32nd degree Mason is to ask those who have made the fraternity an important part of their lives.
The reason many Masons become Scottish Rite Masons is that they want further education on what they learned in the Blue Lodge. And the Scottish Rite provides 29 additional lessons that help to embellish and build upon what they learned at the Blue Lodge level.
It's been said that the first 3 degrees of Masonry help us to become a better man inside, and the degrees up to the 32nd help us to be a better man to the rest of the world. And the teachings certainly are there, and if we listen to those teachings and put them into our daily lives, we're going to be a better employee, a better husband, a better father, and a better servant to the community.
The teachings of Scottish Rite Masonry are central to its long history, a history that began in Europe during the Enlightenment of the 18th century and reached the United States in 1767 with the formation of a Lodge of Perfection in Albany, New York.
Scottish Rite was founded in its early years by the Stuart exiles from Britain who settled in and around Bordeaux in France and was brought here to the United States. And our own history, of course, goes back to 1801 when the first Supreme Council was founded in Charleston, South Carolina, which then, of course, branched off, the northern part of which we're members of, branched off in 1813.
The continuity between past and present is one of the lights of Scottish Rite Masonry, a symbolic term that to 32nd degree Masons means the wisdom that has been passed down from previous generations.
You can have a great deal of success in material life, in your own business or your own profession, but we find that for many of those young men particularly who are coming to us now, that there's something missing. And the missing element is that dimension that we think that Scottish Rite Masonry particularly can offer them. And that is almost 200 years of heritage and a place where they can find comfort in the future and where we adjust ourselves to modern life, but we hold steadfast to the truths that Masonry offers.
That wisdom is codified as the 29 degrees beyond the third. Scottish Rite also bestows an additional degree, the 33rd, for exemplary service to the fraternity or mankind. The 29 degrees are principles, teachings in ethics, values, and good citizenship. They promote such universal qualities as tolerance, reverence for God, and dignity in labor. What is most distinctive about Scottish Rite Masonry is how those universal principles are taught to degree candidates. Scottish Rite degree presentations are part of a tradition that goes all the way back to the Middle Ages and the plays staged by guilds of tradesmen. Their common theme was good versus evil, and to communicate their lessons, they make great use of symbolism and allegory. Of course, modern-day degree presentations are quite sophisticated, both in their production values and lessons. Their stories come from a wide variety of sources, including the Old Testament, the founding of the United States, and the Second World War. Most important are the principles communicated by the presentations. These are divided into 4 groups. Many of the stories in the first group, the Lodge of Perfection, are set in the time of King Solomon. This group elaborates on the principles of the symbolic or Blue Lodge. The principles taught in the second group, the Council of Princes of Jerusalem, put strong emphasis on loyalty and devotion to truth. They are set during the captivity of the ancient Hebrews and the building of the Second Temple. The philosophical degrees of the Chapter of Rose Croix, the third group, explore the idea that the most enduring of all things human is one soul. And the fourth group, the Consistory, conveys its principles through historical settings that range all the way from feudal chivalry to the 20th century. The degrees are calls to action. For the individual, they inspire self-betterment. For the collective,